Great to have me here.
There's a lot that I wanted to talk about. We just kind of got into things. So you're here because you're working the Bellator show on Friday at Mohegan Sun, correct?
Right.
You came early to do Ariel and the Bad Guy.
Right.
But I'm getting a real inside look. I wish this was a video podcast on Wednesday. You know about you like the Wednesday podcast sometimes more than the Monday podcast, I heard, because like you like the stripped down version where it's just audio. But I wish it was a video one because I'm getting a real behind the scenes look at Bad Guy Inc.
Ah, we're having some fun.
Well, we're breaking the fourth wall here.
Sure, let it down.
So what are we in a I don't know, what is this, a 10 by 5?
Sure, 5 by 5 maybe.
5 by 5,
It's pretty tight in here.
It's tight, they spare no expense here at the Worldwide Leader. And it's me and you sitting here. You've got massive arms, right? I'm, just kind of a big guy in general.
Sure.
And we're also being joined by your cameraman, the real brains behind Bad Guy Inc. He's actually in the room. The great Ryan Parsons is here.
Dr. Parsons.
Dr. Ryan Parsons.
Yes.
Who for the longest time I thought was actually Jewish. I found out he's not Jewish.
The Craig Basari of Submission Underground, nonetheless.
That's him.
Yes.
What a claim to fame.
That is actually a claim to fame.
Yes.
I've tried to tell Craig things like that before. Like, you cannot compliment Craig. He doesn't know how to take it. But so many people admire him. So many people, know what a brain he is, or they know... he has a really rare skill. Mm-hmm. There's probably 5 people alive that could do what Craig Basari does. But if you ever try to compliment or go, hey, man, this guy really respects me. He gets... He doesn't handle compliments that well. Yeah. He gets shy about it.
He's sort of like the head of production for the UFC, for those that don't know.
Which is like the hardest job on earth, in all fairness. You know how many buildings internationally he has to know the schematics of at all times? If you go in his office, he has blueprints, and it's like, what's that? Oh, that's Cork Stadium. Why do you have that in your office? Well, I'm running fiber optics out of there right now. It's like, Craig, I don't even know what you're saying, but I'm going to leave now. Good job.
So you have this incredible thing going on with Bad Guy Inc. and your YouTube channel and your podcast and all this stuff, and regular fans may not know this, but the brains behind it all is the guy who helped shape many great MMA careers, Ryan Parsons. Yes. This guy, I remember him when he was managing and coaching the likes of Mayhem Miller and King Mo Lawal. The list goes on, real great personalities in the sport. How the hell did this happen?
He actually got Pat Cummins. You've heard that story of how Dana White needed an opponent?
There's a story about that fight, and I see Ryan in the corner of my eye smiling. There's a story about that fight that's never been told.
Sure, what is it?
Should I say it right here and now? I was saving it for the book.
Do it right now, or I might do it because I'm not sure what the story is. So
I was saving it for the book, Highway to Helwani.
Okay.
Out in stores in 2021.
You did something to help that Pat Cummins fight?
I made that fight, Chael.
Go on.
Okay. Ryan, do you disagree with me right now? Ryan's not okay. He's saying that he agrees with me. I made that fight, Chael. Do you want to know the real story behind that fight?
Heck yeah.
Now we're going in a whole different. Okay, UFC 170. For those that don't know, Daniel Cormier is about to make his light heavyweight debut. He's about to fight Rashad Evans. 10 days before the fight, he finds out that Rashad Evans has injured his knee. He calls me, devastated. I'm cutting down to 205 for the first time. Remember, this was a big deal because in the Olympics, he tried to make weight. Went to the hospital, etc. That was 211, if I believe, right?
211 pounds,
yeah, 211. So devastated. I've got all my family coming from Louisiana. Everyone wants to see me fight. Big fight, Rashad Evans, legend, all this stuff. And the UFC is telling me I can't get a replacement. They can't find someone to fight me on 10 days' notice, right? At the same time, there's a young man named Ryan Parsons, manager extraordinaire, who continues to bother me about this up-and-comer named Pat Cummins. No one wants to fight Pat Cummins. No one wants to fight this guy. Oh, he's 4-0. World Series of Fighting won't sign him. Bellator won't sign him. No one wants to fight Pat Cummins. How good is Pat Cummins, really? But, I respect his opinion. He's credible, correct? So this is what we concoct a plan. Start tweeting DC, okay? Start tweeting DC. So Cummins, who has at this point 300 Twitter followers, is tweeting him, I'm going to make you cry like I made you cry and all this stuff. We concoct this plan that came to fruition, right? The next day, I call Dana White, all right? UFC President Dana White, back when we were on speaking terms, right?
The elephant in the room.
Yes. And I say to him, what are you going to do about DC? We can't find a replacement. He's getting his kids to school. I'll never forget this. I said, you can't find him a replacement. I got your replacement. He said, who is it? I said, do you know who Pat Cummins is? He said, no. I said, Pat Cummins used to train with Daniel Cormier at the Olympic Training Center. He made him cry when they used to train together. He said, are you serious? I said, yes. He said to me, would he tell that story on camera? I said, I think so. We didn't really talk about that part, but I was just like, why not? He said, get me his manager's info right now. Call up Ryan Parsons. At this point, it's probably 8 a.m. Pacific time. I say, Dana White's going to call you right now. You need to get Pat Cummins on the phone, and he needs to tell him that he's going to tell the story on camera that he made him cry.
Made Dana cry.
4 or so hours later, the fight was made.
Wow. I did not know that part of it. I love that piece of it. My own favorite part, and great job on that, by the way. I mean, you helped
Ryan,
to
are you
change.
okay with me telling that story?
You helped to change somebody's
There's more
life.
to it, but sure.
What would you say?
He said there's a little bit more too, but I think that's where
Okay,
I'm going to
fair.
come in right now. But when Dana needed to make that, he just needs to hear your voice. That's like Dana code. I need to hear your voice. Tell me yes or no. And so Pat was working. He was a barista. It might have even been a Starbucks, but some kind of a coffee chain. Ryan had to go through the drive-through because he called and the manager refused to put Pat on the phone. So Ryan had to go through the drive-through, get a coffee, get to the window, yell, "Hey, get me that guy. Give me Hey, Pat, guess who this is? It's Dana White." Dana said, "You want to take this fight?" And he said, "Yeah." And Dana said, "You really working at a coffee shop right this second?" Pat said, "Yeah." And Dana said, "All right, I want you to do this. Hang up, turn to your manager, take your apron off, and tell him I quit. I'm winning the UFC." And he did. And Pat didn't even have a car. Like, he had a bike there. And, that he was turning like into a workout. How to get it. Pat was a great story. Pat might have been one of these guys, and as great as his career was, and you could see the tough, regardless of wins and losses, but you could see spots in every single Pat Cummins fight where you go, whoa, that guy does this really well, or he does that really well. But he did get a late start. You know, he was in his 30s, he just got a late start. And what kind of induction is walking right into a co-main event against Daniel Cormier?
Yeah.
Tough draw.
Kind of got smoked.
Yeah,
It was
tough
a bit
draw,
of a
though.
letdown, right? The fight was a bit of a
Sure.
letdown in the end, UFC 170. But a great story, a claim to fame. I don't even know how we got into that. Oh, you working with Ryan. How did this actually happen, you guys working together on all your stuff? Because you're killing it. Every fighter comes up to us and they're like, who just said it? Oh, Paul Felder gets into the car on Friday. We're going to the weigh-ins. Like, I saw your video about me. Everyone references your videos. How did this actually happen?
I appreciate that. It's been fun to get some extra exposure there, and I appreciate the plug you're giving right now for that matter. Ryan just called up one day. He was in California. I live in Oregon. He said, "Hey, I got this idea. Let's both pitch in this amount. Let's get some equipment and let's get going." It was more of like a podcast, and then ultimately turned into videos and some of the YouTubes and some other ways to gain exposure out there. But that was really all it was. We were just two friends. We like hanging out and talking. So he started turning the camera on, asked me a question, and I'd answer it, and we'd film it.
But when
We
you,
didn't reinvent the wheel.
that set that you have, which I've told you I love, right, with the lights and all that, that's in your hometown.
That is a half mile from my house. Yeah, we built that. Actually, Ryan and I with our hands, and did not know what we were doing.
So
like,
we built ESPN Plus.
yes, but if we try to impress anybody here at this Seaport beautiful studio that
Yeah.
we built a studio, they would not be impressed. That's what they do. But I can tell you, for guys in Oregon where we don't have studios, we don't have soundboards, we don't have, any of the equipment that you need, it was a real task, man. It was an accomplishment that we built that little space.
And the person that shoots this stuff, who is it? When you
So
do it from your house, from that location.
So Vince will come to the location and set everything up, and then Ryan will monitor it all remotely.
Amazing. And
Yeah.
he's just like a kid you found, right, Vince?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he was a college student at in the film department at Portland State.
And you still do your podcast, though, the audio podcast.
Yes, but I do it all from the same studio right by my house. I used to trek about an hour.
How many
trip.
years have you been doing that?
5 years now.
Who was your first guest?
Errol Helwani.
That's right. That's right.
So can I tell you what happened on that real fast?
I'd love to talk
Okay.
about this.
So-
have we ever actually talked about this?
I don't think so.
Oh, let's do it right now.
Yeah, not together. And but I don't think I've told the story behind your back either. I don't think I've ever talked about this.
Let's do it,
But
let's do it.
okay, it's my first time podcasting. Now, as simple as that may sound to you and I now, because we do a lot of them, and to tell you, what is that? I thought podcast was 2 words, pod space cast. That's how little I knew about this. So I had to hook up with this company called Podcast One out of Beverly Hills. They fly in a representative to Portland to hold my hand and walk me through this and meet at the studio and introduce me and show me what a podcast is, where your reads go and how your plugs and what all the bumpers are. And okay, so you come on, and we had a weird tension going on at that time, and hadn't really ever talked about it. So you were on, and something happened, and it just turns into a full knockdown, drag out, screaming. I can remember the spit coming out of my mouth and the veins popping.
That always stuck with me. Do you remember what you said?
No.
You called me a snake in the grass.
Oh, really?
You said you're a real snake in the grass, and at first I thought you were joking,
in the grass.
but then I realized you weren't joking.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did I coin that, or was that after Connor had already referred to Dillashaw?
I think this was before.
Because I don't think I'd steal a line.
No.
Anyway.
Connor didn't.
But I have to tell
Make
you,
that
though.
phrase up, yes.
I have to tell you, of course he didn't make it up, but okay. That was so hot between, we were so hot, and it was so organic and so real that I've got the representative that,
Yeah.
the owner of the company's right-hand man is standing there with me, and he's like, yeah, we have to use that. That's how podcasts blow up overnight. This is you will be a success overnight if we put that. I'm like, I can't put it out. It was all off the record. He's like, yeah, well, sure be helpful if we could use that. So I was like, hey, Errol, what do I do? And you're like, It was off the record. I go, okay, it was off the record. Click. Never put it out. But the point was, I have always wondered, like, if this one guy that understands podcasting, next to a guy who thought podcasting was 2 words, thought that was the one that would really make, because we did great anyway.
Sure.
We did great without that. I've always wondered, just how big would it have been?
Would you put it out today?
Would I put it out today is the question that Ron
As a
just asked
spoof.
me. You know, I wonder if you still have it.
No.
You probably don't.
No.
Can I tell you my perspective
Yeah.
before I answer the question? So you asked me to come on. You were in the midst of, I think, your kind of reintroduction, right? You had been let go from Fox. I'm not sure if you were with ESPN yet, but you were trying to like reinvent yourself.
Sure.
Is that accurate?
Sure.
You asked me to come on. I was actually honored. I was like, of all the people you can have on, it's a pretty big honor to ask me. So I was glad to do it. At one point, we had a connection issue. The recording went down or something, and that's when you blew up on me. That's when you were like, I got to tell you, you're a real stink in the grass. You kicked me. I think you felt that I didn't have your back. Am I
Yeah.
onto something?
Yes, I felt that way.
You felt like I kicked you when you were down.
Yes.
Okay, but here's the thing. When I found out that you tested positive, that ultimately led to your departure from the UFC and Fox, right? Who broke that news? I broke that news.
Yes.
Who
With
called you?
half the story.
But I called you.
But you played half the story.
What was the other side?
You told the whole world that I popped for X, Y, and Z. I think there's like 3 things in my system. You gave no credence at all to the 9 things that I wasn't caught for. It's always this negative approach with you. It's always so pessimistic. It's supposed to be optimistic. Nevada State Athletic Commission 3. Chael Sonnen, 9.
Right.
Winner, Chael. Not the way you tell the story.
Right.
The way you tell the story, Chael's some evil villain.
It was a very awkward moment for me because I had to call you to tell you
Run
that I knew
around
this
treating his
information.
butt like a pincushion.
That's right.
That's how you would tell the story.
That's right.
That's a negative approach.
Well, now I understand your perspective.